Oh man, what a week! What a week it's been. We just wanted to start off just kind of acknowledging again, uh, specifically for LS, the passing of the COO of T1, John Kim, who was only 40 at that time.
Yep.
And just a reminder, hey, we love League, very fun, this whole ecosystem, but also, it's let's remember what people are able to put in to the community and to their teams and to the ecosystem. And so I just want to give a space for LS to just kind of say something, a memory that you had about John.
John, I mean, I said it in one of my tweets. By the way, I hear an echo. All right, well, we'll get back into this. All right, it's like wedding crashes over here. But okay, so November was a really bad month. And I wasn't really talking to a lot of people. That was the month I was off social media and everything entirely while the T1 stuff was happening. But yeah, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner I just had with John, pretty much. Or I would just go to T1 HQ and I'd just sit in his office all day, if I wasn't back at the apartment. Yeah. When I would have like rough periods or like moments during that month, he would come over to the apartment. I mean, this guy's the CEO of T1, so it was pretty insane support. And then even after that month, he was really supportive and helpful. Throughout the last like few months, I feel like he was a huge supporter for me, like inside of T1. It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. So just kind of a reminder for everyone, hey, like, again, what we do is League, but life is very precious. So make sure you spend time being able to impact others, hopefully in a way that they'll remember. So thanks for that, LS, and rest in peace, John Kim, COO of T1. All right. So with that, we had one more piece of outside of League content, and so this one actually comes on Dom's end. Big post today on Reddit about Dom from a known guy that does not like Dom and just fiends
like
on
anyone,
people's failure. Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's a TSM fan, so. Yeah, so Dom, why don't you take that one away? There's the post was about a top lane reference, I believe.
Sure. Yeah, misreferenced Nuggery and Jahu playing the Jace versus GP matchup, which I mean I legitimately thought that I had seen recently. And yeah, I'm not sure where I actually have seen the matchup. I know I've seen it, but I watched so many hours of League that sometimes it just blends together. And yeah, I just misremembered, I guess, the players. I'm not sure. Like, I don't want to give an exact reference point because I literally don't know when I saw it. I know the matchup's been played. And I went back and I saw some VODs of it. And then more importantly, I just care about, like, am I correct or not about how the matchup should be played? I've heard various things from pro players about how the matchup should be played. But I mean, if we get into the parsec, one thing that I would like to do is just go into like why I think the matchup was played incorrectly, because I think that's the more important thing rather than the reference. Because yeah, I'm sure that I also have misreferenced things before. I just think that when you stream as many hours as I do and you are constantly talking about things, I mean, I know even my chat catches it real time sometimes, where I'll like be making a point and they'll remember what I'm talking about. They'll be like, "Oh, aren't you talking about this game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that I was talking about that game." Like, yeah, I messed it up. I can't seem to do it. Oh, is this it? Okay, cool. So pretty much like what I want to talk about is just what happened in the matchup and why I think Huni misplayed the matchup, because that's really what I think is like the most important part, rather than like the reference points. Because I'm sure that I will I think the only takeaway I can have is to try to reference specific things less. I normally trust my memory a lot when I do like the Crackdown, when I do this show, and we bring up different games. I normally trust my memory a lot because I just feel like I generally have a good memory, and I don't know, that's how I feel. So I think that now I just realized that like, yeah, it's not 100%, and I'm going to sometimes misremember things, or how I'm like categorizing things could be incorrect. But more importantly, I just want to talk about the matchup itself and why I think that there was an issue with how it was played. Okay, this is not working. Let's see. Not copy pasting. Maybe. Okay, I just do TL versus TSM. So I've talked to a bunch of people about the matchup, and essentially like there's conflicting ways of like how people perceive the matchup in LEC and LCS. Like a lot of it comes down to how confident people are in Jace's W interaction, because it theoretically should be able to cancel barrels, which is what I said. But a lot of Jace players feel like the W is too buggy, and it's just not, people aren't confident enough in the ability working properly to actually be able to like reliably cancel the barrels. So some players will say you win after first back. Some players will say you win after second back. Some people think Jace wins early game. I think LS said he talked to Onion and he thinks that Jace wins early game, but GP wins like overall or something, because of like how GP is as a champion. Like you have to define like what winning is in the matchup. Is this the match right here? So essentially I just want to talk about how the lane should be played when you are playing Jace versus GP, because I think that there's no way that it is correct to walk up and permanently eat GP Qs time after time. So here we are. Can we just get into, okay, so here we are. You can see a little bit of the matchup here. Oh, okay, should be good. You can see the matchup here. So pretty much the way that you need to play it is like GP is going to just try to spam Q on the Jace, and Jace doesn't have a real way to combat this level 1. So like GP definitely wins level 1. So ideally when you walk up, like Huni has 2 windows to auto. The windows are when GP walks up and tries to trade a Q, and what you want to do there with Jace is you want to Q auto to even up the trade. And really how much trading you do in this matchup depends on where the jungler is going to be, and like if you think you're in range of being dove, or if you think that you're going to be able to like conserve HP. And if we can go back actually a little bit more, you can see that like Huni is just repeatedly eating Jace Qs from Alphari. Alphari is just like winning the minigame. He's just outspacing him. And Huni just takes Q after Q after Q. Start from the beginning. So this is where you can start seeing it. So trades and auto here. Now GP's Q is on cooldown. This is when you could potentially auto. You generally want to also be playing outside of the wave, because Jace Q is obviously a skill shot, can't pass through minions. So if you are in the wave like this, it's hard for Jace to return Q autos. This is actually where Huni does it correctly, but generally he just takes way too many Qs here. And then on level 2, he doesn't respect Alphari's level up and takes a barrel chain to the face. And this is like what sets him up for a dive. Yeah, which happens on like the 3rd or 4th wave. You'll see it soon. So here you absolutely should not be walking into range. You can see the barrel, and he just takes it. And essentially my whole point is that I think that Huni can play this matchup a lot better. I don't think that you have to go down 20 CS in this matchup with how bad it is. Definitely got the reference wrong. Feel bad about it, but just wanted to like overall just talk about my point, because I feel like that was lost, where people are just like, he referenced incorrectly, therefore like what he's saying is bullshit. Where my whole point, if you watch like the entire video, is that Huni doesn't need to lose lane as hard as he lost. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, I think it's a splitting hairs when both of you guys are doing insane amounts of content. So I, you know, appreciate you breaking that one down before we dive into the rest of the matches going on in for the day. I've listened to a leadership class. Bob Iger, he's the Disney CEO, said one of the biggest mistakes you can make is after you get a a setback, you get gun shy. It's like, no, if you understand what happened in that setback, and then you make another risk, you know. So hopefully that doesn't deter you from the Reddit hive mind doesn't deter.
Well, I mean, it's just like
putting out the content.
I mean, I guess the thing is, like, I don't think I've had something like this happen before. Like, normally I feel like, yeah, like I said earlier, I'm like really confident in my ability to like recall things. Like when I'm on the Crackdown, like a lot of the topics like are really done on the fly. So people will reference games from years ago, and then I'll try to like remember the context of those games, other games that are being played at the time, like remember the meta. And, you know, like I guess that's why I was so confident in what my memory was. And like, I think the hardest part for me is that if I knew, like if going into it, I was like, oh, like I'm just making something up here, but hopefully people don't catch it. Like if that's what I thought, then I would just be able to be like, oh, just don't do that again. Like, don't fucking like try, like, don't lie, because then people are gonna like call you out. I think the problem for me is that I didn't do that. Like, and obviously people will debate that, and like that's something I can't prove. But from my perspective, I don't know what my reaction should be, because like if you like asked me like to bet something of value on that, I legitimately feel like I saw that. So I don't know where I saw it. I don't know if it was from solo queue games I've watched. I don't know if it's from the FPX versus Suning game where Khan played that matchup, not Nuguri, and maybe I thought FPX, oh, who's the top for FPX? It's Nuguri, and then not like remembering what season that I exactly watch it. Like, I'm not sure exactly how I came to that, but like for me, I just don't know what to take away, really.
It's all good, man. We all make mistakes, honestly. We all make mistakes, and the fact that you're talking about it, I think, again, proves that it is, was a mistake. So, glad that we got that one clarified, and thank you for breaking down the landing phase. Always love it when we're able to use Parsec and specifically see how trading patterns can be made more optimally. And the result of it later, which was Huni getting dove and then falling behind over at in their matchup against Team Liquid. So with that said, TSM get themselves a win, and let's start off with a little bit more spice. So after that win, TSM knocking Team Liquid out of that multi-team tie down in third place. It was everyone would have been at 24-15 with Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses. Spica, young Spica, maybe MVP candidate Spica, maybe most consistent player, maybe, I don't know. Spica, the glue that holds TSM together, had a couple of choice words to say to top laner Alphari. And including my boy Bob Jenkins, and maybe we see Jenkins coming in next week. And now Alphari, obviously, taking time away and reformed, had a very measured and calculated, responsible comeback, saying, "Didn't you get fucked by an emergency sub jungler in our last best of 5? Maybe it wouldn't be a bad move to put him in versus you, actually. Yeah." With the thinking emoji. This was, I thought that was not bad clap back. But then I was even topped after that, Spica coming in and saying, "Your sub jungler that still think it is Udyr, Hecarim, unskilled, full clear meta." That would have been a one hell of a hyphenated sentence. "Yeah, I haven't seen him since last playoffs, probably still farming Krugs." And then he celebrated himself with another ratio by Spica. NA choosing violence, not only in the changes to rosters, but also some of the banter going back and forth. LS, what did you think about this exchange by these two teams after Spica gets the final win of the series before playoffs?
I mean, I think conversations like this are probably fine. And well, I mean, I think that they are fine in general, right? But obviously, I think this is a pretty like NA and EU specific thing. I don't think you'd ever see something like this probably in China or Korea. I think that like the players would probably be fined, or the fandoms would actually like riot. I'm not even kidding. So it's always a treat to see it happen. I don't know what to think. I think Alphari's like reference about like the sub jungler thing is just really fucking weird. I think like it was a meta where the junglers don't really actually have a lot of skill expression. And I don't think that it really mattered all that much. And I think that series had a lot of other issues that had nothing really to do with jungle. Also, Spica's like TSM's best player, so that's another like really weird thing. Alphari, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll dive into Tion a little bit. Tom, what'd you think about this little?
I don't mind something like this. I mean, I think it's fine, especially when it's like, it's Spica, right? Like Spica always does this. Like he always like likes to meme players and like tries to like have like bangers, and just like he just has fun on social media. So yeah.
Can I comment? Like chat's like saying like it's just banter. I feel like people are like, I don't know. Maybe you guys have different perspectives on this. I feel like banter is the word that people hide behind. They're being like politically correct in a way that they can flame and hide behind the guise of banter. But this isn't banter.
I think it's banter. I mean, I think
when
it
it's between players, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's banter. I would. Yeah, it might not be personal, but I think that I think that the joke is I don't know.
mean,
I think
there's
I have,
truth behind the banter, but I don't think there's actually
Right, that's what I mean.
much like ill will behind like what they're saying.
Right. But I don't think it's banter in the sense that people think that it's banter. Is what I mean.
Yeah, I
If that
do.
makes sense.
No, it makes sense if this is what you mean, like where people use the term banter to just be mean and fucked up, and so it's just kind of like the sheet for everything. I think this is
Right.
is closer towards, especially because these guys are like equal. Alphari at his best, maybe not right now, but at his best is one of the best players in the LCS, one of the best top laners, and Spica is the best player in TSM and has been one of the best junglers. So like that's why I didn't mind this one, and they didn't go personal. So I do think it's weird that Alphari's like, look at my sub jungler that fucked you up. Like that felt a little weird, but still not bad of a nice clap back. But I think Spica wins this one. All right. Now let's dive into the opposite end of the spectrum of sad boy hours and tweets and banter and tough stuff. Let's talk about some counter logic gaming. The only team with a streak larger than the week of matches that happened this week. Everyone else on a 2-game or 1-game streak, both win and loss. Counter logic gaming on a 5-game losing streak. They put in Demonte, Tanner time. Where's my Tanner timers in the chat? We know that you're there. Tanner time came to fruition. Maybe not in game 1 or game 2 because those games kind of exploded right away. But game 3, CLG, 10,000 gold in the lead. Things are going well. Raze couldn't hit the blind side of a barn with his arrows. And then the Baron gets stolen. And then we got to see one of the historic, we'll make it positive, historic comebacks of the LCS history and maybe Pro League of Legends history. A 5-digit gold lead. And they lost a tower or multiple towers, an inhib, and I think a Nexus turret without dying. Like Immortals took Baron and then they just ran it down bot, and CLG just watched them take it all, and they were still down 5,000 gold and had 0 kills. It was one of the weirdest things I'd ever seen in League of Legends, Dom.
Well, I mean, I think at that point they're actually just losing. Like realistically, like their 5K gold lead is actually a deficit if you consider like the champions that are picked in that game. Like they're playing Callista comp and then they're going to like 35 minutes and they have no real advantage anymore. I just feel like the CLG players are just afraid to lose, right? Like they're under so much pressure. Like you can tell that like there's definitely going to be some weird animosity between like the whole community is shitting on their GM and then like they're just there at the same time, like still trying to win. But like they probably know that, like, I mean, whatever CLG is showing to the community, it's definitely always worse behind the scenes. I can say that confidently as a pro player that any type of situation that you see in public is generally just 10 times worse behind closed doors. So like I would just assume that these players, like, they're just like, man, we have to win this game. Like we can't lose a game like this. Like, and you know, that type of fear, like going into games when you have that level of fear, it's just never going to end up well.
LS, have you been, because I know I've felt this type of a pressure when I was at Golden Guardians and they were like, we could still make playoffs. I was like, we haven't won in 6 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever the fuck it was. Can you try to, there's a lot of conjecture, but can you try to, what do you see in this situation?
I mean, in this situation, I feel like it's probably just incompetence all around, right? Like, I've harped on ProView being a really deep insight into like a lot of players and stuff, and I thought that it would actually contribute to like exposing clearly inaccurate beliefs about players, right? So when it comes to like CLG and you go into the ProView, I mean, there's no hiding it anymore. Like you can say whatever you want about the game on screen, but ProView lets you have direct access to like what the players are actually doing, or like how poorly they're playing. So I thought everyone's ProView on CLG is like really bad. And when you monitor it over the course of so many weeks, you can see that there's no intent that would suggest that they're actually trying to get better, or they don't identify their own problems. I've said this before in like past things, but the reason that I'm bringing it up right now is because some of the players have echoed the sentiment that they don't know what to do, but it's pretty apparent what you should probably be working on. I think that's weird. In terms of like behind the scenes stuff, Demonte had no choice but to join CLG. Because what's the alternative? You can't, I think I said this last week, you can't do content creation when you don't have the numbers. So you're forced to do it because it's your only option. But he's forced to join a sinking ship. Now, I think Damonte made a correct decision because he'll ride this season out. He'll ride the off season out for salary. And then next year, he's probably going to get at least a year. Maybe he only gets one split if he totally bombs, but financially, it was an excellent decision that he made. The other thing is, the community just wants everyone's heads. CLG is like the piñata. I mean, it's just the piñata for everyone right now. Everyone's calling for the general manager's head and all this other stuff. And a lot of it is conjecture. A lot of it's very conjecture. CLG had a lot of moves in their staff. I think a lot of people haven't talked about this. There's a lot of groundwork foundation staff that left CLG in the last 7 months. And there's probably more and more that are going to be leaving. So I think that, it's like mold.
Yeah. I would say that. So I had the chance to interview Damonte after game 2. So Saturday. So that's over on the VENN Esports YouTube channel. And so it was interesting because Damonte is definitely doing a great job trying to empathize with his teammates, knowing that, hey, I know I'm the new guy that just came in. I know, this is tough for everybody and I'm trying to be here for you, but let's shake it off. Let's get themselves a win. And the first 2 games they played, they never got off the ground. I think they were already losing, a 2K gold lead by 8 to 10 minutes. But to see this happen where you are so far ahead and you are in control and then just kind of fall over and die and universally have it be called one of the worst games ever played by a team. Even when I interviewed Revenge afterwards, Revenge was like, yeah, that didn't feel great. I'm glad we won, but that did not feel good. That's just I wish we knew. I wish they knew. I wish they could articulate it, but it kind of feels like this is something unprecedented in terms of things going in the wrong direction here. So CLG, that is hopefully something that they can turn around with 6 games left. They are 3 games adrift from playoffs as FlyQuest had the hell of a week. They had the tough week in 100 Thieves, TSM, and Evil Geniuses. And they started off the week with the upset over TSM. They were able to get the win. And I said earlier, 1 win out of this hell week would be good for all of them. And they were able to pull it off. But then they dropped their next 2 games against 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses. Not able to get the win there. But now they've beaten 2 out of the top 4 teams here with FlyQuest. What did you see in FlyQuest this week here, Dom?
I think that FlyQuest just can't lane versus better teams, right? I think that the thing that keeps them in games is that they don't ever have that we're trying to check Baron now, we're just running in one by one and just all 5 members die and they just give Baron. They don't make it easy for the enemy team to end the game. They don't do a lot of they don't make a lot of stupid mistakes throughout the game as a team, but they don't have good enough laners to have me actually have confidence in this team when in a long period of games. So for example, when you watch the TSM game, right? Mid got solo killed, top got solo killed. And just if you're watching how the game is playing out, you can tell that they're they have decent coordination and they know how to not bleed out, but at least when it comes to teams, when they start getting to playoff form, I really hope that a team like this, either I want FlyQuest to improve in lane and then actually be a legitimate contender, or I want other teams to just not throw these massive leads, because the TSM throw was just egregious, man. That game is actually impossible to lose. And if you can watch the fight, you can tell that there's the way the TSM fights and the way that they determine what is actually going on is so bad that you can't even say anything other than they somebody's going in and they just all commit without even calling audibles mid-fight. If you see certain things happening in a fight, you have to change what the call is, right? You can say, hey, we want to contest this dragon, right? We want to contest this dragon. We want to be here first. We're going to look for an engage. If you then get hit by a million Varus Qs and a million Jace Qs, then you can't fight anymore and you have to make a different decision. In this game, they threw top lane and then they immediately went into a fight. Spica insta dies. All 5 members of FlyQuest are full HP and TSM just still full commits TP's in with Nocturne, ults into the whole team, insta-dies, and while Huni is insta-dying on Nocturne, the whole team is also walking forward to try to damage as well. So the issue for me is that, like, when FlyQuest get wins like that, it doesn't give me confidence later on, because, like, I feel like it's a lot easier to just not throw a massive gold lead than fix, like, these types of laning issues that are so prevalent in multiple games they play.
LS? On FlyQuest or TSM?
I mean, it gets real rough. I haven't seen TSM Legends from this week. On the matter of
Oh, it's
FlyQuest,
really
I mean,
bad.
is
TSM
it
Legends
the
is-
episode? I haven't seen it.
Well, it's rough
They had
because,
one
like,
really good episode.
Well,
They
I
had
mean, I don't know.
one.
It depends on what you consider good, but, like, you can see that the problems are repeating, because, like, one of the things Bjergsen says that really, like, impacts me is he's like, dude, I don't even want to talk about this game. He's like, I don't even want to talk about the game because it feels like we're not even trying. I feel like that's telling enough. When your coach doesn't even want to actually break down the game because of, like, the level of play and tries to fix, like, the other things outside of it, it's like, damn, like, there are real issues with how TSM is, like, approaching improvement.
The thing that I kept commenting on was, and again, I mean, it fucking sucks because we're only getting, like, tidbits, right? But it feels like their obsession with, like, Herald and wards and fucking dragons means they're so genuinely disconnected from what's actually important in order to get better at the game, right? Because laning phase is the biggest extent. It's the most pure form of League of Legends. To understand, like, lane manipulation, push timers, minion speed, recall, like, relative to your MS, how, you know, minion waves are going to interact, you know, the comeback speed of the enemy laner, damage output, like, all this other fucking shit. It is the most pure form of the game, and it extends into other phases. If you have someone that is a monstrous laner, they're probably going to be aware of what to do in, like, controlled team fights later on. The idea that someone can be a shit laner and a phenomenal team fighter is probably something that can be true, but it matters. I think it depends on how are they a shit laner. Like, it gets really fucking nuanced, and I think it's really difficult to talk about in a format like this one. But basically, I feel really confused as to how they never seem to talk about laning, and the only person who ever has in an episode is Spica, by saying that his lanes are just losing. But also the way that they draft, Spica is set up for failure very, very, very often. And then you have Reggie going off on Twitter like last week, right? That there's stuff that isn't even a draft issue. So, I mean, I feel like they're just so disconnected from the purity of the game. And then there's this other problem that, like, when you're inside of North America, I think that your view on champion strengths or team fighting strengths, or, like, what is and isn't possible, is also just really skewed. So you reach really false conclusions for, like, what you should be prioritizing. And when you boot camp in another region and prep for, like, an international event, everyone does naturally get better. But because the environment is temporary and most people don't know how to consciously learn, you don't actually take anything back. And I liken this to, imagine you just, you know, there's a bus that comes and picks up 3 teams at LCS and, you know, drives them to a remote fucking location. And that remote location is just a gym. And every single day you're forced to work out, right? Or, like, do, like, Olympic type fucking shit. I don't know. At the end of the 1 month, your body and physique is going to be completely, shaped differently. You're going to be eating different, whatever. And then a bus comes back and picks you up and drops you right back off in LA. You don't really know why you were doing anything. Nor was it your intention to do that stuff in the first place. Nor was it your intention to seek it out. So slowly your body will digress back into its previous state. And this is a problem that happens with most teams when they go to international events, and it's why they don't actually improve, and it's why leagues have been stagnating for about 4 years, because critical thinking is absent in this scene, and there's not very many original thinkers that know how to push boundaries inside of the game, especially players.
That's what I was gonna say. Very much like MSI. So MSI, kind of example right there. All right. The other squad that we wanted to bring up, they had a pretty good match, I guess, on Saturday had the chance to talk to Closer about it. It was Team Liquid against 100 Thieves. And so 100 Thieves get themselves 2 wins this week against Team Liquid and against FlyQuest. Dropped the earlier game against Dignitas where Acadian turned, into playoff mode Acadian for one day and was able to pop off. But 100 Thieves, they are our best team in North America. They have solid lanes.
You think
but
that? I think EG is actually the best team in North America still.
I mean, by ranking, they're our best team. You think Evil Genius is still?
Yeah, I think EG is a better team than 100 Thieves right now. I think that when I think they played against each other recently, and EG looked good in that game. But I mean, the only game that EG's lost in the last 11 or something is when they played Syndra Bot, where I feel like, yeah, they just did something that they're not going to be forced to do. It didn't work out, and they can just avoid that going forward. And it feels like their formula is still better than anyone else's formula in NA right now.
Which is something that I had a chance to talk to Perks about. He's like, yeah, teams are practicing things. They're trying things, especially the ones at the top half where it's like we're in playoffs for sure. And maybe that bye will feel good, but teams have that opportunity to test things. So either way, then sure. Evil Genius is probably the best team. 100 Thieves currently in first place. 100 Thieves have had difficulty doing something, Dom, that you had wanted to bring up.
Say that again.
100 Thieves had difficulty doing something that you wanted to bring up.
So I mean, I think that I think they play early game pretty reasonably, but I've said this over and over again, and we keep on seeing proof of it, where they don't actually know how to end the game when they have a lead. They pretty much understand the basics of okay, we're ahead. This is where we put our vision. We're gonna be playing around Baron now, but they're really bad about making the actual decision in the moment as to what playing around Baron means. Sure, you can put vision down in the enemy red side jungle if you're on blue side, for example, and yeah, if they walk in there, you can pick somebody, and if you pick somebody, then the Baron's a lot easier. But we saw in the FlyQuest game, FlyQuest just didn't give them a super easy end. They didn't run into them one by one. And when this doesn't happen, it takes them so much longer to end games because they don't make coordinated decisions. And you can just tell by how the fights are being played out that they have different ideas of what should happen. Have you ever seen a situation where the whole team is flanking and Closer just autoed Baron for 10 seconds by himself? He's 1v Baron while the other 4 people are trying to hard engage a fight. That is crazy. And versus better teams, they're not going to give you the free option to just, I mean, sometimes they will. Sometimes people will just get caught and you'll win the game. But I don't think teams will do it consistently enough where you're going to that's a legitimate strategy. You're going to have to at some point figure out how to convert your small advantages. Let's say you're only up 1 or 2k gold, but you have damage to do Baron, or you have a good way to start Baron in turn, or that somebody doesn't have a TP. You're going to have to be able to figure out those situations. And part of the reason why I thought RNG won MSI was because they were the best at actually playing these situations out, regardless of the fact they had some terrible laning phases, some horrible drafts. The fact that they just knew how to play around objectives and they were all on the same page with how these situations were going to go allowed them to just take games that they shouldn't have taken. So I think this is the biggest issue with 100 Thieves. And this is why I still feel NA is just up for the taking. EG, maybe they'll be able to continue what they're doing. I think they have the best formula right now, but I could easily see, I don't think that they're guaranteed to win the split or anything like that. I think if C9 gets it to form, if TSM gets it to form, if TL gets it to form, and one of these teams really stops losing lanes so hard to a team like 100 Thieves, I feel they could actually just win by playing these situations better.
Alice, who's your top team in the LCS right now?
That's a good question.
My job.
I don't know. It's I don't even want to. I don't want to say Cloud9. I mean, the EG thing that I think is really interesting is, so if you look at a lot of other teams, right, and you just look at their match histories. If you just open up match history on a lot of the other top teams, holy shit, the echo's so loud. It seems like Evil Geniuses just is pre-planned for almost everything. They have a lot of mirroring champions several times in a row, right? So it makes me think that of those 15 games that they play, I imagine that they're only rotating very, very, very few champions, and then they just are only doing that. So they're hyper prepped Whereas what I imagine like other teams are probably doing is they're having like a diversity of champions being like practiced all throughout the week. And so when EG probably plays, it's almost as if they're just playing the same fucking shit the entire week long. And there's not really much deviation. I mean, this is like a very bizarre looking thing if you just open it up compared to like other teams throughout the league. Other teams don't seem to have the same discernible pattern. Not that it's like a bad thing, right? But I always talked about, I remember in spring, right, when Dignitas was on its tear with Dardoch and stuff, one of the things that I mentioned was that like mutual camaraderie goes a really long way in a best of one, and it goes a long way in North America in general, right? So NA, if you're just prepped, like pre-planned, it's not going to get punished in NA, right? This is sort of like, this is akin to like the fucking Vi forced pre-planned draft comps that like CLG had that was working for a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think it's sort of the same thing.
That was the point I wanted to get across to, where it's like, this isn't bad though, right? Like if Evil Geniuses found the way that they play, and they're like, okay, beat us. We don't think you can, because we're not only do we have a comp that is easier to play, we practice it so much that we're getting the most out of this comp. So we kind of know how what the limit kind of looks like. That's okay though, right? Like that they don't for NA at least, right?
I mean, I don't know if I would say that it's okay, because once it comes playoffs, I mean, you're gonna probably bomb, right? You can't do the same thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird for me in terms of like who's the best team in NA right now. I don't know, man. CLG, they're the best at losing. Like they're like
Jesus.
What does best even mean? You know, like
I mean, I just think that EG is the most stable team when it comes to like they go into games with knowing how to win, and they actually use their pressure together. Like I like seeing interaction between different players. It feels like they do simple things. Like it's not rocket science to be like, we have prio mid, we have a slow push top, let's 3-man dive top. Like that's not a crazy thing to do. But if no one else could do it, then you're just the best. Like no one else knows how to like actually make these situations happen. Like when I watch other players and other teams, it feels like everyone is just doing their own thing. Like, and it's, I don't know like how I could say that a team that can actually close out a game with a lead, that actually has ideas of how to work together, and even basic things like when they have this idea of like, now they understand how to like use mid prio and a slow push on a side to dive a lane. And now you're seeing them like even iterate on that and being able to bring like whichever lane is, you know, whichever lane is not the lane that they're diving, bring those people mid and they catch a wave. Like, so now they're thinking on a level where I feel like NA teams just right now are not even considering that. They're just trying to like get out of lane and just be like, okay, like, are we going to try to win through dragon here? Are we contesting this dragon? Like, are we I don't know what the other teams are thinking about, but they're clearly not thinking on this level. So for me, I would not say that I'm confident EG is going to win the split, but I would say that when I watch them, they're the only team that I feel confidently right now that they're going to like perform at a somewhat consistent level in these games. Who else can it be? That's the problem. Is who else can it be? Right? Cloud9 is looking so bad right now. TL is looking completely out of sorts. So drafting.
Like, well, this is like one of those things though. It's like their results are better, but does that mean that they're the best? Like if you, I think Cloud9 would probably beat EG in a best of 5 is what I mean. But I don't necessarily, it's like weird. You know what I mean? I agree that they're winning, and I agree that they have like their thing going on for them. But I don't think that necessarily means that they would beat TSM, C9, or 100 Thieves in a best of 5.
You think right now they wouldn't beat them in a best of 5?
Right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Right now? I don't think so, like, no.
This weekend?
In a best of 5, I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I personally think they would.
I know. Wait, I gotta pee. Oh my god.
All right. Well, now's a good time for you all in the chat. Well, LS has to go bathroom. Based team name. Who's the number 1 in the league right now? Based, and then put the team name right there. If you're watching our pre-recorded content on YouTube, because obviously this is all pre-recorded, let us know in the comments who your top 5 teams are. Wait, you guys are just putting based. No one's putting their team names after it. What are you doing? Come on, y'all. Oh, lots of CLG fans out here. Nice. I'm gonna eat yogurt. Who you have on the crackdown this week, Dom?
Not sure. Not sure. I normally get my guests like I start asking people Monday and Tuesday. So yeah, it's a pretty short list normally. I think I mean, I could say who I guess we're looking for. We're looking to get Abadage on the crackdown. So I reached out to him and asked him, and we'll see how it goes.
The Daga father. Nice. He's an interesting interview.
No, I think he's opened up a lot more. Like he used to be like, I felt like a lot more shy, but I've been watching like content that he's put out. I've been just seeing like how he handles himself in interviews. And I feel like now is like a good time where I feel like he can open up and talk about things like, yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think your interview with him is going to be, I think, very good. He's very comfortable about talking about the game. He's the kind of player where if you start talking about the game, he lights up. Whereas a lot of other guys, I can kind of get them to talk about other things and they'll light up. I'll find the other spot. But he's definitely like a league lifer. How about that? The league lifer, also current MVP frontrunner, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I would say MVP frontrunner for me is just Abe.
You need to just get Spica.
I mean, yeah. Good luck getting a TSM player on a Thorin podcast.
Oh, right. Well, maybe Spica would. You know?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like he wouldn't be allowed?
Well, yes.
No, like man, I would say out of all podcasts, we have probably the biggest blacklist. I don't think I've blacklisted anyone myself, but we have a pretty decently sized blacklist of people just like no one from TSM. Like there's certain players that would just that like are ex TSM that wouldn't work with Thorin. Like there's all that stuff. But I'm like I think the show still like operates and it's fine. So yeah. It just is what it is, and like Bwippo because of what happened on the
esports professionals that didn't play on TSM. you're okay. I think so. They were I think who was it? Kaizen was lauding TSM for its play now, where it's like, hey, they're playing a little bit more globally. I think it was before the Team Liquid game, before Huni got kind of rammed in by Alphari. But it was allowing Spica to make a little bit more of the aggressive plays. Power of Evil is playing his role right now. Well, yeah, I don't want to talk about TSM anymore. Never mind. I was going to set that up, but we've already hammered that one home. Let's dive into Team Liquid. We got to see full strength, almost full strength Team Liquid. We're still missing Santorin, who is still out for health issues. Is that what it was? But with Alphari now kind of hopping back in, he got all of his matches on in. They didn't do and perform as well as they should have, I guess, against some of the top teams. So against 100 Thieves, against TSM, they dropped matches. Against CLG broke right away. How would you rate this squad now? Still missing Santorin, but Alphari's slotting back on in. He's doing his job. He's crushing Huni, but are they actually better with Jensen?
Are they better with Jenkins?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jenkins.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're just better with Alphari. I just think that these types of team comps, like I hate the TF and GP team comp inherently. It's just something that I just never have liked. Because GP is not like a champion where you can easily like force on a TF TPing to your lane the same way like an Aurelia or a Camille or like a Jax, for example, can just insta-kill somebody. And I feel like GP is generally like a stable laner that just wants to be able to like ulti bot, ulti mid. So when you play TF and GP, you're kind of like forced to then make your plays around only one lane instead of having both lanes as the option. And I don't think that like TF is that easy to play in this meta. I don't think you need to play TF unless you are like a really good TF team. And we didn't see TF play with GP one time the entire game, which is really what I'm looking for. Like that's one of the strongest parts about TF is that you can like push in the top wave and then you can run or like you can push out whatever wave your GP is not in or your soul laner is not in. And then you can just play with your soul laner. And since people take TP Spellbook on TF, you can then double TP to Baron if they ever like try to start it. So generally you'll just see the TF walk with the solo and you'll play both solos 2v1 against the guy. And it's so hard to play top into this, especially a champion like Jace. Before he has Edge of Night, it's so hard. Like even if he's under his turret, he can just get killed by the TF every single time that other people show on the map. And they never once went for this play. Like they just opted into team fight after team fight after team fight with the strategy, which is kind of like why I don't really give teams that are like trying these things that much credit, because it doesn't feel like they even have like the basic ideas of how you play comps like this. So I feel like they're just wasting time by trying to like execute this. Like I don't really know what PL's identity is or what they're going to do well, but I hope that they just kind of go back to like the same type of style that they had in spring, where it's like you just make sure that Alphari is able to get ahead himself, and you just try to like limit the other factors, because it seems like 1v1 laning this guy is insane. It's mainly just like when it comes to like he's disrespectful of jungle ganks or like mid lane roams or support roams. We've even seen him die through wards. I feel like that's his biggest issue. So you just try to like abuse the fact that you have probably the best 1v1 laning top laner like in the league in terms of just like interactions between pure champions. And yeah, you just want to enable that as much as possible. Yeah, that's just my take.
Yeah, again, highlighting the issues with the gank. That is, I think that was the first blood that Closer was able to pick up with Someday on Alphari. Just kind of walked up, killed him. That was that. They just held on to his flash and lost it from there. Alice, thoughts on this Team Liquid squad?
So I just wanted to chime in on the Twisted Fate Gangplank thing. I think it's really weird to pick Twisted Fate when you don't use your minimap and you literally never look around the map. I think that's kind of counterintuitive. That one's anyone who's gone into Jensen's Proview knows exactly what I mean. It's perma-lock camera almost. So that one's really weird.
Doesn't
obviously
sound like a
like
TF player to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a TF player. I mean, obviously teammates can like call stuff for you, but I mean, it that's just fucking weird in general. I think yeah, Team Liquid in general. I mean, you just do continue to play Alphari. I mean, he's just better than Jenkins. In general. So unless like there's some like inner team turmoil conflict, then you're just forced to keep playing with him. Yeah.
I guess I'm a little worried about making it that way, because what if they do think that, hey, it is just straight a communication issue, right? Hey, so-and-so is a better talker, right? The way that they communicate about the lane, the way that they communicate about that is just much better for the team. Because what if it's that? Because if they truly believe, hey, it's a 6-man roster type thing, and Barry's been, Alphari has been pretty professional about it throughout the process here, like, yeah, and they want to continue doing that. I guess I just think about that front, because if they do keep doing it, then we're like, hey, is Alphari like toxic or something? Like I don't like I just worry about that, you know, kind of becoming the story a little bit too much. If they actually believe, hey, we want to run a 5-man, and you know, Jenkins will make the TP play bot or whatever. Whereas
right,
see, Alphari was able to jam Hooney pretty hard, and they still didn't win.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm very doubtful that it ever turns into a 5-man where it's only Jenkins.
I mean, I just think you just play with. I mean, I think Alphari like literally shows his worth in these types of games. We see this matchup, which is like, I guess, a contentious matchup. Let's not even call it like GP winning or Jace winning. Let's just say it's contended, right? Like, it's not a matchup that's supposed to be this. Like, you're not supposed to open up the lead that Alphari was able to open up 1v1, right? How can that not be a bigger advantage on its own than whatever Jenkins was bringing, when you just saw how the lane phases were going for Jenkins? Like, it's like
That's true.
Jenkins was having some rough lane phases. I just feel like Alphari is too good. Like, you just have to focus on what's going to give you the best chance of winning. And especially when the team isn't like ultra coordinated. We're not dealing with a team that's like performing like EG is right now when they have Jenkins in the lineup. And then Alphari is like better than him, but you know, like the team just functions so much better with Jenkins. We're not dealing with that situation. We're dealing with like a situation where there's no discernible difference between how they play with either top laner, and one top laner just looks noticeably better at least one aspect of the game. So why would you like just not ride that out?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I guess only Team Liquid knows for now. Maybe again, are they just covering their tracks because they're like, yeah, we're gonna run a 6-man roster because we had to, you know, put Alphari in timeout for a little bit, and then we let go of our coach. And so we're just kind of covering our tracks, or is it actually something there? So I guess we'll see as we get to the points in, of the season where it starts to matter. I would say, the last couple of games in terms of placement, as well as playoffs itself. All right, next up, let's do another spicy team that, all of us think are kind of underperforming. Let's go to Cloud9, y'all. So Cloud9, they're able to pick up 2 wins today. The dominant one over CLG, and they picked up the one yesterday over Golden Guardians, which is one of the other hot teams in the league. So nothing to shake your head about. But they did drop the big one to Immortals. And LS, you said last week, if Cloud9 don't go 3-0, especially against this run of squads, Immortals, CLG, and Golden Guardians, we should sound the alarm bells. After seeing it, Immortals get the win, and it was a scrap of a game, just straight up fighting. But then a little bit more controlled against CLG, and then taking care of business against Golden Guardians. What are your thoughts on the form of Cloud9 now?
I mean, I think Cloud9's kind of... This is like one of those things where it's I kind of know too much. So I'm like real hesitant. But Cloud9's a shit show, so I don't really...
Oh, you know too much?
Cloud9's, definitely feels bad, man. Definitely feels bad. I mean, I've started making jokes that VENN just clearly has a hot date with the amount of times that he just arbitrarily pushes waves in mid game, or like walks up into waves in the middle of mid lane, and then he just randomly dies. And one of the things that I remember is like, so you guys know that we streamed T1 Academy, right? We screamed scrimmed T1 Academy, right? And 80 Carry kept doing it in like day 1 and 2. By day 3, 4, and 5, I mean, that was fixed. Now, I might have ran out of back pings, and I might have, borderline paused the fucking scrim asking why, does he have a date he has to get to? But, like, it's really weird that weeks can go by and he just keeps doing this hot date bullshit. And then you have other stuff, like Perks is just playing really poorly. Blabber is not doing anything fancy inside of the games. Like, it's Fudge and Vulcan when he has some pop-off games, but it's basically just Fudge and Vulcan performing well in this split. Emphasis on Fudge.
I mean, even Fudge is starting to perform worse, right? Like, he was performing pretty well. I mean, he's had a lot of good games, and he's also just like, he has these just random moments, where I just feel like I wonder if it's gonna start like affecting him, the environment, And I feel like we saw like inklings of this, right? Like he's just making uncharacteristic mistakes, is what I would say. I mean, he got solo killed twice this weekend, right? And like in the Gwen situation, he just gets a gank. I mean, I think that they should probably push in that wave together. So I don't know like how that communication is going. It's really hard to like put it just on one player, but it is strange that like now we're seeing some weakness with Fudge when he had been dominating the split. Outside of that, like, Malphite versus Gnar lane that he played, I think into Someday, where he just, like, randomly died at level 2, where it was like, okay, man, like, what's happening here? So what I'm worried about is, like, when you look at C9, normally they seem like a regular season team. Like, Perks is the only player on that team that I would say is, like, just has that trend now of, like, bad in regular season and then, like, pretty good towards the end in playoffs. We saw it with G2 in 2020. We saw it in spring. So like that's the player that you could like maybe give the benefit of the doubt to, but like Perks is definitely not playing well right now. Like that's for sure. Then you're looking at Blabber, and if you look at Blabber's trajectory, normally he smurfs regular season. Like he is absolutely shitting on everyone in regular season, and then he experiences some fall off in playoffs. So the fact that like that's not happening right now is really, really telling, because even like, let's say Perks does look better in playoffs. Even if he does, do they win? I don't even think they win. I think they have to like really like as a whole just start playing on another level, and like it just doesn't feel like they have that same strength that they used to, where you look at the players and it's like that like Sven and Vulcan were pretty much going to win lane into anyone that was not named maybe FBI Huhi and then Core JJ Tactical. Like they were just going to smash everyone in lane. And that was just going to be a huge point of strength. And Blabber was going to be able to do whatever he wanted because he was generally going to have winning lanes. And he would just be able to be aggressive and he would take good fights. Now I don't even feel like Blabber's taking good fights anymore. Like there's obviously the crab stuff. But even more than that, it just feels like there's situations where the team loses out on something, and instantly Blabber will go into a play and the whole team will die. It's like the situation where Perks got dove mid yesterday, where he gets dove mid and it's like a 3v4 straight up, and Blabber just runs directly in, the whole team dies. Suddenly you have 4 deaths, and that's a huge swing. Like, these types of mistakes are going to be catastrophic later on. So I don't know. I'm really, really like shaky on Cloud9. Like, I'm not confident at all. Like, even if they did end up playing well and winning, like going into Worlds, I feel like unless we saw them start performing game after game after game, they would just seem like they're gonna doom MSI 2.0.
Yeah, and I like that point you made there about just being able to rest your hat on that bot lane, creating their own lead consistently. But you know, Vulcan popped off there on the Sunday game, but it just doesn't seem like they've been able to do that. I had the chance to chat with Perks after their victory over CLG, and you know, I do a lot of interviews, and I enjoy a lot for a bunch of different reasons. That was one of the most honest interviews that gave a lot of insight without giving away specifics, if that made sense. So I'll be releasing that one later this week, probably tomorrow. Yeah, I'll probably release it tomorrow. But it was just very interesting, his insights on like, hey, we're testing things. And maybe I'm testing too much. Maybe we're just adjusting, but you know, I'm so used to playing to perfection, and what perfection means to me compared to perfection to others is a different conversation. So you okay? What happened? Yeah, I guess he's gone.
I know you guys can hear me, I think.
Oh, okay.
LS
yeah. LS has disappeared. Oh, the earbuds died. Got it. So anyway, just closing up with Cloud9 here.
I literally ordered a second pair specifically for stream, and it's not connecting. This one's fully charged too. What's the is it? What?
Can we get some Sages? Sag.
I can't connect. Oh my god. This is... Listen, I love you guys. I just want to let you know that, okay? Dom, don't you worry about those Reddit bullies.
Love sound.
Oh my god, my earbuds are fucking trolling.
How did this happen? Here, pull this up while we're waiting.
Does it work now?
Does it work? Hello?
All right. Do I have echo or no?
No, you sound great.
Nope.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm using the monitor again.
All right,
but there's no echo.
Cool. Monitor gaming.
All right.
we can. Here you go, Joe. I put it in Discord. We can pull that up in a bit, but yeah, we're just finishing up the point here, LS, on just Cloud9 and Cloud9's, you know, kind of shortcoming here. And Dom feels a little bit more shaky about it. You feel more confident that they're going to figure it out yet. Yeah.
Is that the summation? Does LS feel more confident that C9's gonna figure it out?
I think Cloud9 in a best of 5 setting is probably fine. I mean, I just look, the reality is I just don't have almost any faith in the top 5 of North America. Like, I feel like this is not only the weirdest split in LCS history, I also just feel like the same exact problems are found in almost every team, and I feel like EG's like massive win streak / miracle stuff, I don't think it means anything in a best of 5 because it just feels like uber preparation, and it just feels like rotating the same things over and over, so they have this like level of comfort that other teams don't have. And I don't also feel like EG in this weird fucking way, I don't think they have the same kind of pressures that probably come down on them from management and staff the same way all the other teams do. If you're on TL and you're fucking losing, Steve's probably pissed. The management or staff, there's probably like problems going on. Everyone on those teams, TL, fucking 100 Thieves, TSM, Cloud9, they all probably have like big salaries, like minus Fudge. Unironically, right? So the players probably get stressed. There's probably a lot of like self-preservation, and this is all fucking conjecture, but I don't think it's unreasonable. I don't think this is a leap, right? Where if you start making each other look bad, people are gonna start getting pissed at each other. That's just like a fucking thing, right? So it's fucking weird. I think EG is the only team in the top 5 where this probably isn't the case, where self-preservation, job security, and like inner fucking house of cards is not happening. The other 4 teams are literally stacked with people that are probably incentivized to find ways to deflect blame and actually have job security fucking reasons affect their play.
Yeah, they're probably also the only team that wasn't necessarily built to go to Worlds this year right away.
I mean, that sounds like a massive fucking advantage. You're making me even more of an EG believer, LS. Oh my god. How mad are you gonna be when Jizuke just smurfs on the entire league in playoffs and goes to Worlds, and then plays against T1 and shits on T1 at Worlds? How mad are you?
Oh no, please!
That's just gonna be
T1 at
crazy
Worlds.
reality.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. Also, T1 at Worlds, yeah.
No. I was kidding, dGon. What the fuck?
Oh shit, my headphones popped out. All right.
Look, we just beat Damwon. Keria had the best. I actually think, for any Thresh lovers that watch this, I think Keria just had the best professional Thresh game in recent years. I actually think, yeah.
I think Nuggery had a pretty good Thresh game versus GP in LPL 2021. That might have been better than that, but outside of that one, you know.
No, I legitimately think that Keria's Thresh performance in Game 3 versus Damwon is probably the best Thresh performance in recent years.
Yeah. I didn't see the total game, so I can't really...
It's good. Yeah, I mean, any Thresh enthusiast should probably just watch that game.
I'm pulling it up. I'll go watch it later. Last one I wanted to hit on for the day is Golden Guardians, because for the first time in a long time, they're winning. Not just, this year, but just in general. They're winning. They're finding success here. In terms of 4-2 right now, I believe they are in the last 2 weeks since they made the trade for Licorice, since moving on from Solo. And a lot of that had to do with a Blaze Kench or Tom Olive, or what was the other one I had? Was it Tolive or a bench? A blench? There it is. Yeah, it was a blench. Okay. Tom Kench mid. So I forgot which one of y'all were talking about the Tom Kench, but I know Tom, you tweeted out probably one of the funniest tweets I saw of the week, which was like, Yusui has no fucking clue what Tom Kench does now. How did that manifest in the mid lane there for Golden Guardians?
I mean, I think that like he probably knows what Tom Kench does. I just think that the knowledge is probably limited. Like it's gonna be like basically like, oh well, like it no longer can like eat people like pre-6, and then like the W's a knock up, the Q is like similar. It's gonna be like that type of thing. It's not gonna be like, okay, like the Q heals and like all the intricacies of it, knowing the exact ranges, like all that type of stuff. And it just looked like he like would just pretty much tried to play the matchup by limit testing it early, just like taking trades, see how they went. Ended up like getting out sustained and then just never traded again. But I think that this is also like, I think it was a pretty smart pick overall by Blazol, because I do think in general, like Akali is just not good into tanks. It's part of the reason why I got phased out top lane, is because people just started picking like Gragas, Scion, all this type of stuff into it. And with Grasp, like Akali just didn't do enough damage after the Q nerfs to really be able to like contend with these types of champions. Generally Akali's better matchups are like Camille, Jax, those types of things where like you can just trade with them a lot easier. So I think it makes a lot of sense for him pulling it out. And honestly, I think Blazol is like probably made the most improvement from spring to summer out of any player in LCS. Like I thought he was I don't know, maybe 10th, like definitely not the best. Yeah, like in spring for mid laners. And now I mean, when you start going through it, it's like it's hard to say that Jensen or Perks have had better splits than a Blaze. So like a Blaze all might be like second, third, like he's probably up there with like PoE, like for being after Jizuke and Abadagi, who are having the best split so far. It's kind of crazy.
God, and our whole streamer episode of Jizuke was literally this split. He's turned it around pretty hard as well.
Yep.
That's a cursed image, by the way, of a Blalov, not a Blalov, a blenched Kench. But
You're
Golden
really
Guardian's
trying
turning
with
this one around. Who else has stood out for you? Because I mean, it can't just be a one man a show here with a Blaze, right? Can it? Can shit? Nah, that didn't work. Sorry.
Yeah, let's just move on. We tried.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, those were all the teams that I wanted to hit. Dignitas, they picked up a win and then dropped 2 afterwards. Immortals, they got an upset over Cloud9, but then and then dropped the game in between. FlyQuest, they are who maybe they're better than who we thought they were, but went 1-2 with this week's matches here. I guess the last thing is, so we did an activation at the beginning of the year. We did a little thing with some small podcasts you might have heard of called The Dive at the beginning of the split, and apparently, because I have not logged in since we filmed that episode. Apparently, thanks to one Isaac Gazelle Cummings Bentley, a literal world champion, reminded myself and my esteemed colleague LS that we are in the finals of the week. We're in the finals of actually the last place position. If you want to pull that one up for us,
Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah, we are battling for, as they aptly named it, the Toilet Bowl. The Poop King. Apparently, I guess you can make unique names for the different championships that you're playing.
No doubt.
I'm gonna log in. I think Jizuke is my mid laner. That is all I remember. Do you remember who else is in your? Who else is on your team? LS?
I've been checking it. I've been checking it myself.
I think I have Pobelter and he's benched.
I think you get
See,
the replacement,
I believed in CLG, so
Nice.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I got
have
Finn,
Broxa.
bro. Like, it's not doing much better.
Yeah.
I had Broxa, yeah. Oh, I guess Broxa outscored Finn. I had Impact. Impact's killing. Impact, Jizuke, lost, and then Afromu. Damn, that's where I went wrong. All right.
Wait, didn't I have Dardoch too?
Yeah, I'm trying to find your team. It's not the easiest.
I think I
there we
have
go.
2 replaced players. I mean, fuck me, I'm not a psychic, so.
I think you get the replacements, though. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, that means a lot. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, honestly, like, I think I don't think that Pobelter was putting up that many stats in the first place. Like, if I'm being honest.
This is so the app Sleeper app. It's where they do the LCS fantasy matches. It is better served for your phone because I'm clicking on things and nothing is loading. But
Should
I'm
probably
sure
just use
that...
the Esports One fantasy site instead. But it is what it is.
Oh, there it is. That's right. One of us may be using the Esports One fantasy site. Is there anything else we need to be plugging here, LS? Is there? Make sure to go get your Nike T1 jerseys. Drink your Red Bulls, and for Dom's sake, get your healthcare from Kaiser Permanente. Was that? I think that's.
I think that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a Blitz GG in there somewhere, or are we not doing that anymore?
I mean, yeah, this is Blitz GG.
Make sure to use your Twitch Prime to pay for LS's treadmill streams. If you guys missed it,
This is true. I do need it. Look, electric bills in this fucking apartment, they're like $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I'm dying.
Is that won or dollars?
No, it's in US dollars. I'm converting it.
Okay.
It's fucking doom.
But yeah, that is this week. LS, you're going down The toilet, obviously, for the toilet bowl. There it is. There's my smack talk. That's banter, right? That's banter?
Yeah.
No, I think you have clear negative
I
intentions.
think he hates me. Yeah.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
I think it's under the guise of banter, but you actually hate LS.
Ah, damn.
Yeah.
I've been spotted, seen right through by my 2 specialists that focus on communication. Y'all, again, we are in the depths of the summer split. Hopefully,
Depths.
have like 2022, maybe 2023, we'll find a league structure, maybe matches that will make it all engaging every single step of the way. But we appreciate all of you tuning in to follow along with some of these playoff battles that we're starting to see. Golden Guardian surging on up. And we'll see where CLG lands next week. Guys, what do you have for this week? LSU first.
I actually don't know. My week has literally no plans, I don't think yet, because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to process everything and what I'm going to do. I do have videos coming out on YouTube and on Patreon, but that's it.
All right. Make sure to stay locked on his YouTube and subscribe to his Patreon and use your Twitch primers. Any Twitch primers? Amazon primers? Twitch primers. Dom, what you got?
Just Crackdown LPL co-streams, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sweet. This week, I've got 2 interviews still yet to be released. One with Perks and one with Destiny. Both of them weighing in on the state of North America compared to their other regions. Both of them Europe, even though Destiny's not from Europe. And then I had a pretty good one with Revenge. That one was good because it was like, wow, you just went through one of the worst games in the LCS history. How does it feel? But he went in and shared Revenge, pretty good interview. I was surprised by that because he's still a rookie. He's in his rookie year. Like, it just doesn't feel like it.
Because he went to college, bro. I'm telling you, going to college for like 2-3 years does wonders for your ability to communicate like a human being.
This is true. Like he was well spoken compared to a lot of our college skippers out there. Don't skip college, otherwise you won't be able to communicate well. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week to break down the penultimate. Yeah, the penultimate week. That means the one before the final one. Week number 8. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you all throughout the week. Let us know in the comments of this video over at YouTube what you thought of it. I break it down in dGon versus commenters, but thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you later. Well, that's the end of our video. You want more though, right? Thought so. Good thing YouTube makes it so easy to watch more VENN Esports. Easier than keeping me in frame. Whoa. Whoa. While you're watching me dodge around, click on these videos.